Hello everybody. Today I want to talk to you about emotions. It's so easy to get caught up on our emotions, get overwhelmed by what we're feeling, what we allow ourselves to feel. But what if I told you that you don't have to feel overwhelmed? You don't have to be overwhelmed. You only have to get through one thing, manage one thing, conquer one thing. Now, you might get a kick out of this. Apparently, in my field, I'm considered a behavioral scientist. And behavioral scientists have a number of raging debates, like in any field of endeavor. One of our big ones is the number of emotions. Now, if you're going to fine-tune emotions, we're talking about different levels of the things that we feel. Anger, for example, which can be annoyance, which can be being irate, being livid. Happiness could be overjoyed, euphoric. It could be just pleased. You talk about those fine-tunings, we could go all day and night. We could actually say that there are an infinite number of fine-tunings, because none of us want to sit down and actually count them all. But if you put emotions into broad categories, well, some of us, behavioral scientists, say 99, some say 12. Walt Disney believes that there are 6. All the trained psychologists at Walt Disney, for the movie Inside Out, the animated movie that came out a few years ago. Actually, right now I'm thinking maybe that was Pixar. But regardless, they said 6 emotions. I was brought up, weaned as a therapist with 4 broad categories. And these are happiness, anger, sorrow, fear. No human being can exist without experiencing these 4 emotions multiple times a day. So the idea that anyone from my field or any bartender or any person can tell you that you can get over being angry, you can stop being angry, you can stop being sad, stop being afraid, nonsense. This is part of life. This is part of what it takes to be human. So there are 4. There's a way of easily memorizing this based on alliteration and sort of a rhyme scheme. You got mad, glad, sad, and scared. And the idea is take care of those 3, the 3 negative, and get back to what I call the baseline of happiness. Now, by being happy, I'm not talking about being narcissistic. I'm not talking about pleasing yourself and indulging yourself. As I have said many times, and you will continue to hear me say this, the key to life, of a well-lived life, the key to happiness, is finding and pursuing your purpose. When you do those things that fulfill your soul and your body and your mind and your heart, you bring yourself happiness. And a happy person can't help but affect everyone around who wants to be affected by them. Just like miserable people, who wants to be around somebody who's miserable? People like being around happy people. So if you're happy and if you're putting your light out there in the world, then that should have an exponential effect. In fact, it's been proven to work that way since time immemorial. However, I have my own theory based on my years of working with clients and just being a human being, a fellow traveler in this world, and that there are really only 2 broad categories of emotions. Of course, you have the positive one, happiness. What's the opposite? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it sorrow? Can't be anger or sorrow, because those are the consequences of the fear. So the opposite of happiness is fear. And think about it. When you're happy, you got nothing to be afraid about. You're confident. You're king or queen of the world. Nothing can topple you. But when you're afraid, you really tell yourself you have no reason to be happy. And because you're afraid that this happiness that you did experience, you might be telling yourself that it's only very temporary, or you might be telling yourself that it's completely an illusion, and that makes you fearful, and that in turn will make you angry or sad, quite possibly both. And this theory, this framework of our emotions works for me because it is so much more manageable. It's so easier to deal with one negative thing, one thing, and then you take care of that, you manage it, you conquer it, you contain it. Then the only place left to go is happiness. The only place left to go is purpose and confidence and joy. That is a remarkable thing, and I have been through some remarkable nonsense in my life. All you have. There are people out there who have gone through even worse than you or I. I've mentioned Viktor Frankl before, who was in the concentration camps for 2.5 years, but found a reason to renew his purpose and therefore renew his happiness every day. He did it despite losing everything. So this is not just some sort of concept that me sitting here in this little suburban studio is just going on about with any sort of credibility. This is a real thing. You manage the negative and get back to the baseline. We allow the negative, the fear, to overwhelm, and we think that that is the largest, most powerful thing in the universe. But in actuality, finding and seeking that purpose, bringing your light into the world, finding happiness, being a beacon of happiness and purpose, that is overwhelming. That is the strongest force in this universe. It's just left to us to actually acknowledge this and to live this principle day by day, moment by moment, second by second. So my friends, I leave you with that. And what can I say? Don't worry, be happy. Peace. See you next time.